This 1632 painting is considered one of the most important group portraits ever made, a young Rembrandt's breakthrough into the Amsterdam art world. But the body being dissected in it wasn't a volunteer, a saint, or an anonymous stranger. It was a convicted criminal hanged that same morning. And the dissection itself, painted in careful, confident detail, contains a scientific mistake that art historians and anatomists are still pointing out almost 4 centuries later. This is the anatomy lesson of Dr. Nicolaes Tulp, painted in 1632 by Rembrandt van Rijn. It hangs today in the Mauritshuis in The Hague. Rembrandt was only 26 years old when he painted it, one of his first major commissions after moving from Leiden to Amsterdam, and the painting that helped launch his career as a portrait painter in the city. It was commissioned by the Amsterdam Guild of Surgeons and shows Dr. Nicolaes Tulp, the Guild's official lecturer, performing a public anatomy demonstration in front of 7 colleagues, all gathered close around the body. At the time, this kind of public dissection was itself a form of theatre, part science, part civic event, open to a paying audience. These demonstrations happened inside Amsterdam's own Theatrum Anatomicum, built above an old weighing house, and they didn't happen often. By law, the Guild was only allowed 1 legal criminal body per year for public dissection, and only in winter, when the cold slowed decomposition long enough to actually teach from it. That scarcity is part of why this single yearly event drew such a crowd of paying spectators, from fellow doctors to curious wealthy citizens with no medical training at all. Here's the detail almost nobody expects. The body on that table has a name and a very specific history. He's identified as Aris Quintint, real name Adrian Janzoon, a convicted thief who was hanged that exact same morning after being caught stealing a man's coat. At the time, religious custom made dissecting ordinary bodies extremely restricted, so the bodies of executed criminals were used instead, serving science and functioning as a kind of punishment that continued even after death. And that use often didn't end when the public demonstration was over either. Guild records from this period show that some skeletons were later cleaned, wired together, and kept afterward as teaching specimens, sometimes displayed in the guild hall for years, which means parts of a man hanged for stealing a coat may have gone on quietly teaching anatomy to new generations of surgeons, long after everyone who watched him dissected that day was gone themselves. And here's where things get scientifically strange. Standard dissection practice at the time called for opening the abdomen first, since it decomposes the fastest. This painting instead shows the forearm being dissected first, and several anatomists have pointed out that the muscles and tendons Rembrandt painted there don't fully match real human anatomy. Some historians believe Rembrandt may have based that specific detail on an illustration from a well-known anatomy textbook of the era Andreas Vesalius's De Humani Corporis Fabrica, rather than what he actually saw in front of him. There is an even smaller detail hiding in plain sight, right in Dr. Tulp's own free hand. While his right hand holds the forceps pulling back tendons in the corpse's forearm, his own left hand, raised beside it, is bent into almost the exact same shape as the tendons being demonstrated. Some art historians read this as a deliberate teaching device, Tulp using his own living hand as a diagram, silently mirroring the lesson for anyone watching from across the room. Whatever the science says, the composition itself was genuinely groundbreaking. Group portraits of this kind, common among Dutch guilds at the time, usually lined faces up in stiff, symmetrical rows. Rembrandt broke that convention, completely arranging all 7 onlookers in dynamic, individual poses, each looking in a different direction, turning a formal group portrait into something that feels like a single captured moment. There is a small paper visible in the hand of the tallest figure. At the back of the group, a list of names identifying everyone shown in the painting, later confirmed to match real Guild of Surgeons records. Technical analysis using infrared imaging has since revealed that Rembrandt made changes as he worked, and some researchers believe that exact figure holding the list of names, may have been added into the composition after it was already underway. Even the name at the centre of this painting has its own small mystery. Nicolaes Tulp wasn't born with that surname. He adopted it himself, along with a tulip flower, as his personal emblem, carving one directly into the facade of his own house in Amsterdam. He made that choice during the height of tulip mania, when a single rare bulb in this same city could sell for more than a house, turning his own name into a quiet, permanent joke that generations of visitors could see just by walking past his front door. And here's the part almost never mentioned alongside this painting. What you're looking at today isn't entirely what Rembrandt originally painted. In 1723, a fire broke out in storage connected to the Mauritshuis, and this painting was almost destroyed. The top edge of the canvas suffered serious damage and had to be restored and repainted in places, meaning a small strip along the very top of the painting you see today isn't Rembrandt's original brushwork at all. A painting built around the idea of exposing hidden truth beneath the surface has its own hidden layer, one added nearly a century later by someone else's hand entirely. This exact composition didn't stay locked in the 17th century either. More than 2 centuries later, American painter Thomas Eakins clearly drew on it for his own medical masterpiece, The Gross Clinic, from 1875, trading Rembrandt's Golden Age surgeons for a modern American operating theatre. But keeping the same basic idea, a crowd gathered close around a body, watching knowledge get built in real time. Centuries later still, contemporary artist Damien Hirst, famous for his own work involving preserved bodies and dissection, has named this exact painting as a direct influence on his career. And this wasn't even the first anatomy lesson group portrait of its kind in Amsterdam that tradition already existed inside the Guild of Surgeons before Rembrandt ever picked up a brush. He simply painted the version everyone remembers. So the next time you see this painting in an art history textbook, a museum postcard, or referenced in another artist's work, centuries later, remember everything actually built into it. A 26-year-old painter's first big break, a convicted man's body, punished even after death, a surgeon who turned his own name into a tulip carved in stone, a small scientific error hiding inside an otherwise masterful anatomy lesson, and a strip along the top that isn't even Rembrandt's hand anymore, quietly repainted after a fire, nearly erased the whole thing. A painting about exposing what's hidden beneath the surface that ended up hiding a few surprising things of its own. So does knowing who that body really was change how you look at this painting.